He married me for my money, packed my bags when he thought I was broke. Now I'm CEO of a $30 million company and he's begging for help from a cramped rental. I decided to marry you because I thought you were a wealthy president's daughter, even though you're plain, but I don't need a woman who makes only $6 an hour. Dumb wife, get out of the house. I'm sick of being mothered by someone like you. I don't need a low-income old lady. Please leave. They smirked at me while saying such things, as if leaving no room for argument. My belongings had already been packed into cardboard boxes and trash bags placed beside them. I had a lot to say, but my heart was too shredded to talk back. So, you want to divorce me and have me leave this house, right? That's right. I'm glad you're understanding. Once you're gone, Dad can finally be happy. Fine. But you too will regret this. I wasn't so nice as to stay silent after being told all this. They will surely regret my leaving this house. My name is Susan Johns. I'm a 50-year-old office worker. I've been working at my father's company while raising my daughter Lily alone and managing household chores for over a decade. I married Bill, my husband, 10 years ago. Our meeting was through work. Bill was a sales representative for a client, and I always found him easy to talk to. He wasn't my type looks-wise, but I, not great at making friends, was secretly drawn to the bright and always smiling Bill. During that time, Bill confessed, and we started dating. At first, I was intimidated by the thought that we weren't a match, but he said, "Your shy nature and domesticity are charming." Our relationship was smooth and enjoyable, but one day Bill dropped a bombshell. Actually, I have a daughter who's 10. This confession came 6 months into our relationship, right when Bill proposed. What? The news that Bill had a child was completely unexpected. I knew he was divorced before we dated, but I never imagined he had a child. I was thrilled about the proposal, but honestly, I was more bewildered. But Bill would take me to nice restaurants and places with beautiful night views. He always had something positive to say to me, the pessimist. Life with him would surely be fun, I thought, and I started wanting to marry him. Stay away from a divorced man with a child. It's bound to make you suffer. I faced strong opposition from my strict father. Still, Bill promised, I will definitely make you happy. Believing that I could overcome any difficulty with Bill, we got married despite my parents' opposition. But I wish I could tell my past self that you should listen to what your parents said, otherwise you'll end up seeing hell. As we were getting married, I worried about whether I could get along with Bill's daughter, Lily, and whether I, who had never raised a child, could truly become a mother. The first day I met Lily, "Nice to meet you, I'm Susan." "Nice to meet you. I'm Lily. Come in quickly." She greeted me with a smile, grabbed my arm, and led me to the living room. "You're a daughter of a president, right?" "Wow, that's impressive. So cool." Her eyes sparkled with innocence, and it touched my heart. I could tell she was a really good kid. That day, I cooked a homemade meal. I went all out preparing lots of dishes that kids would like. Lily stuffed her mouth with food and kept saying "delicious" over and over. I remember being so happy. Susan's cooking is amazing. It's nothing like Dad's. To eat this every day would be the best. She seemed to have accepted her father's remarriage surprisingly easily. "What are you talking about, Lily? Dad's cooking is good too, right?" "Well, it's always the same dishes, and they're bland. Susan's cooking is way better." "Now I'm going to cry. You're making me sad." They joked and teased each other like that. I could see they were a close-knit family. "Also, let's talk about our family finances. My husband is just an average employee at a small to medium-sized company, while I am a president's daughter. I've worked long at my father's company, holding a position and earning a decent income. So, our family's finances largely depended on my salary. There was an understanding that my husband would actively take on household and parenting duties, so I never really had any complaints. Whoever can earn should do so, which was our family's approach. That's why I started by replacing my single-use furniture and appliances with family-friendly ones to make life easier for Lily and Bill, aiming to quickly become a full-fledged family member. The same went for our living situation. During my single days, I lived in an apartment owned by my father's company. It was too large for just me, so they decided to move into my apartment, and that's how the new life for the three of us, me, Bill, and Lily, began. When Lily first visited my apartment, she ran around excitedly, shouting, "It's so spacious! Amazing!" Seeing her like that, I vowed to do my best in parenting and work, hoping she would grow up to be a fine adult. Life with the three of us was stress-free, peaceful, and fun. Blood relation didn't matter. We three were a real family, looking forward to life ahead. However, reality was not so sweet. As Lily entered middle school, her attitude towards me began to change. She joined the badminton club in middle school. It was a club passionate about practice, so she was at school during the day and at club activities from evening to night, gradually spending less time at home. On days off from club activities, she would come home from school, throw her bag on the sofa, and just play with her phone. That's when the distance between Lily and me began to grow. Even when I tried to talk to her, she wouldn't even nod, let alone face me. When I discussed Lily's attitude with my husband, he said, "It's just her being rebellious because she's in middle school. Don't worry about it." And I thought it would settle down after a while, but no matter how long I waited, her attitude didn't change. I continued to try engaging with Lily, but the response was lackluster, and sometimes she would sigh deeply and say, "What? Don't talk to me," completely rejecting me. Even when watching TV together in the living room, Lily would only talk to Bill. It was as if she didn't hear anything I said. Yet when she needed something like, "Hey, I need this for club activities tomorrow, can you wash it?" she would talk to me. At other times, I was like air to her. Still, I tried to meet Lily's demands, not wanting our relationship to drift further apart. However, I also worked at a job that didn't just require weekends off. I was on a shift schedule and often swamped with work, even on my days off. My job was demanding, sometimes requiring me to telework even on holidays. I don't dislike my job and I'm thankful that I can work, but the busier work got, the more inevitable it was that I couldn't always meet Lily's demands. When I was trying to cook dinner after work, she would ask me to buy a cake in front of the station or to make a different dish, saying, "I don't like this side dish. Make hamburgers instead." Every time I said no, Lily would make a displeased face, clicking her tongue and saying, "Useless, do it if you're a mother," before storming off to her room. Lately, my daughter often says, "A mother would do this, right?" I've said it many times, but on the family register, I'm Lily's mother. Although Lily and I are not blood related, I have always tried to earn Lily's acceptance, but I still feel she doesn't recognize me as her mother. Every time Lily says that, I blame myself for not being able to meet her demands and fall into self-loathing. The same goes for my relationship with my husband. Bill was very kind and full of smiles when we first met, trying to get my attention. However, it seems he's the type who doesn't feed the fish once caught, as his attitude towards me cooled off after a year of marriage. We no longer felt like a close couple, but more like mere cohabitants. So I tried to get his attention by suggesting, "How about we go on a day date, just the two of us?" But he rejected it, saying, "A date? We have a daughter, Lily. It's weird to talk about dating. What would Lily think?" I wanted to remind him that we dated even though he had a child when we met, but saying that would only make him angry again. What troubled me most was the reckless spending of Bill and Lily. I earn a good salary from my father's company, holding a position there. Yet due to their spending, we hardly save any money. I've repeatedly pointed this out to both of them, but they never tried to improve. "Not only that, you're so stingy. She's such a terrible woman," they even started saying. I'm not having a happy married life. However, I tried to convince myself that perhaps this is just what marriage is like, as I married for the first time after turning 40. Time flew by, and before I knew it, I turned 50. Lily has turned 21, and today we are throwing a celebration party for her turning 21. 21 signifies reaching adulthood, a milestone that represents stepping into a new stage as an adult. In our area, we celebrate it in a big way too. It should be a joyous occasion to celebrate my important daughter's 21st birthday. However, I couldn't feel genuinely happy. I remembered the day we first met when I thought, I'll do my best in parenting so she can grow into a respectable adult. On the day of the celebration, I took the day off work, prepared the dress as my daughter had requested, and also made an appointment at the beauty salon. I was fully prepared for the celebration, getting up early in the morning to drive my daughter. After getting dressed and ready, seeing Lily's glamorous appearance made me naturally break into a smile. "You look truly beautiful. You've become a lovely woman." My husband exclaimed, "Wow, Lily, you look great. Truly my daughter, the most beautiful one." Lily smiled only at her father, saying, "Thanks, Dad." However, she completely ignored my words. My husband was dressed in a suit, getting ready to head to the party venue. I had also put on nicer clothes than usual, intending to go to the celebration party with Lily and my husband. But then, "What? Why is the old lady trying to come? You absolutely must not come to the ceremony," she sharply told me. My daughter, calling me old lady and hurling insults. Wait, but I wanted to go since my daughter is dressed so beautifully. Even though I tried to keep smiling despite the harsh words, it seemed to have the opposite effect. "So annoying. You're a fake mother. Stop pretending to be my mom. Don't call me your daughter. Just don't come, okay? I don't want my friends to think my mom is such a plain woman." She shooed me away with her hands. I wondered if this behavior was truly that of a respectable adult. A fake mother, huh? I wondered if I had gone wrong somewhere in raising her. I let out a big sigh. They ended up going without me. Left with no choice, I decided to spend my time leisurely at home, but with my schedule suddenly cleared and nothing to do, I decided to head to the office and work. It was a stark realization of how much of a workaholic I am. After finishing work reasonably early, I returned home to find my husband sitting on the sofa, frowning and with his arms crossed. His unusual demeanor gave me a sense of unease. "What's wrong? Why didn't you tell me?" "Tell you about what?" "Your father's company is on the verge of bankruptcy. They've significantly downsized their business in America, hadn't they? It seems my father's company no longer does business with my husband's company, so he wasn't aware of the details, but he apparently picked up on these rumors from somewhere." "Bankruptcy crisis?" "That doesn't sound quite right, but I am aware of the downsizing in America. I wanted to discuss it, so I was planning to talk after the celebration party." "What? You were just planning to talk about it? What about the salary? What's going to happen with it?" It seemed he was only worried about my salary. "The salary might decrease until things settle down, I guess." "What? You're joking. Lily is still going to college, right? How are we going to handle the tuition?" "We have the tuition covered, besides." I tried to explain the situation with my father's company and why the salary might decrease, but my husband wouldn't listen at all. "Enough. You can't earn money, and you can't even get along with your own daughter. You really are a failure as a mother." His words, "a failure as a mother," pierced my heart. It's true that my salary had decreased, and I couldn't even pretend to have a good relationship with my daughter. Being so bluntly denied my place shook me. "I need to rethink our future together." Saying so, he slammed the door loudly as he left the house. I also wanted to rethink our future. I had intended to have a proper discussion after Lily's celebration was over. Why does nothing ever go right? The next day was busier than usual at work, so I decided to stay late before heading home. Bill used to say that the one who earns more should work, and the other should cook if they get home early, but that promise had long been broken. Assuming there would be no dinner prepared at home again today, I decided to buy ready-made meals to get by. When I arrived home, I found Bill and Lily smirking about something. Usually they would just watch TV or stay in their rooms when I got back, so their behavior was noticeably odd. Their reaction was as if they had been waiting for me to return, but it didn't seem welcoming. I had a bad feeling about this. My bad premonitions like this always tend to come true, and today was no exception. "You're finally back. Took you long enough. Really, you're so late. We got tired of waiting." "Oh well, I've been a bit busier recently with new tasks at work, but what's going on, both of you?" "Here, take this." He threw a large package at me. "Open it and see. Is this—" When I opened the bag, of course, there was no present inside. I found it filled with my clothes and cosmetics. What in the world? I couldn't understand, my thoughts failing to catch up. Then my daughter said, "Come this way," and led me to a room at the back of the living room. Opening the door, I saw many of my belongings packed into cardboard boxes and trash bags. "Geez, Mom, you have too much stuff." It was tough to pack everything up, you know. I even took time off work to do this. Really tired me out. That's funny. Poor Dad. Watching them laugh together, I finally understood their intention. "You want me to leave?" "That's right. Lily and I have been discussing this for a while." "Yeah, Mom. Your father's company is in serious trouble, right? And your salary has decreased, hasn't it?" "No use hiding it. I heard everything from Dad." "No, that's really— Your worth in this house is over. That's right, we don't need someone who can't earn money anymore." Without giving me a chance to speak, it seemed they were both intent on blaming me. They spoke so rapidly that I couldn't find a moment to interject and just listened with my head down. As I remained silent, they seemed to forget my presence, and their true feelings spilled out. "I married you because I thought you were a daughter of a president, only to find out it was a complete misfortune." "Exactly. I thought I could live in a fancy apartment and be a rich kid, accepting a plain-faced mom like you, only to be scolded for spending too much. With this face, I can't even tell my friends you're my mom. What are you both saying?" I managed to interject with a feeble voice, but this only fueled their momentum. "I can say it now. I married you for help with childcare and money." "What?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My ex-wife was terrible at parenting. She couldn't earn or handle childcare, went into postpartum depression, and that's why my first marriage failed. I took custody of Lily because she mattered to me, but as a mere employee at a small company, I thought I couldn't raise her alone. So I looked for someone plain who seemed to have some money and wouldn't betray me. Then it turned out there was someone who fit the bill perfectly, and that someone was you. You're kidding. I married you against my parents' wishes. You're such an idiot. You blush at any compliment. It was so easy to win you over, and I even married you. That's cruel. Who's cruel here? A failing company is just too much. I saw your recent pay slips. You're making like $6 an hour. It's the worst. Now that Lily is all grown up, we don't need a low-income dumb wife. Get out of the house. My wage is $6 an hour? What are they even talking about? I couldn't make sense of any of it. As I silently pondered, my daughter continued, echoing my husband's sentiments. "I'm so tired of having a mother like you. We don't need a low-income old lady. Please leave." Their cruel words shattered my heart. They've been feeling that way? I never realized that. I wanted to say so much, but I no longer had the energy. So, you want to divorce me and have me leave this house, right?
That's right.
I'm glad you're understanding. Poor Dad, hurt and deceived by this woman. Finally, you can be happy. I wondered why my daughter hated me so much. I don't recall doing anything to deserve such harsh words from either my husband or my daughter. My daughter seemed to despise me intensely, glaring at me with a demonic expression. Seeing her like this, my husband smirked with satisfaction. I felt anger boiling up inside me at the sight of my husband's smug expression. I'm not so kind-hearted as to stay silent after being treated this way. Surely they will regret it when I leave this house. I began preparing to leave immediately. Oh, so you're really going to leave? It looks like you finally realized you're a burden in this house. It took long enough. My husband sarcastically moved my belongings to the entrance. Seeing my husband moving the bags, my daughter oddly sympathized with him, saying, "Dad is such a good-hearted person to help move the luggage. We'll send the remaining items by cash on delivery later, but if you don't move your stuff out within a week, we'll dispose of everything, just so you know." He suddenly told me to leave, set a deadline for moving out my belongings, and then he's now threatening to dispose of them if I don't meet the deadline? How incredibly selfish. Fine, but let me say this, you will definitely regret it. Be prepared, I said to my husband in the loudest voice I've ever used in my life. Regret? No way. He laughed, but I ignored him and left the house. That day, I decided to stay in the company-owned apartment. I planned to live there until I found a new place. Though I could have had my belongings sent, I didn't want my address known, so I waited for a chance when my husband and daughter were away to hire movers myself. As we both worked, our savings were split equally between us. My husband, with his spending habits, had no savings. As a result, a significant portion of the money I had saved ended up going to him. But that was the rule, so I had to comply. In the end, I handed over about $100,000. Well, I hope they used that money for my daughter's college expenses. That was the plan anyway. And so, our divorce was finalized. My heart was torn until the divorce, but surprisingly, I felt more at ease and happier after it was done. My feelings were unexpectedly clear. It just shows how distorted my married life had been. 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I received a call from my ex-husband. I hesitated to answer, suspecting what it might be about, but curious about his predicament. I decided to listen for amusement. "Hey, what the hell is this about?" My ex-husband sounded quite panicked from the get-go. "What's wrong?" I had a pretty good idea what the issue was, but I asked anyway. "I've been told to leave this house by tomorrow." "Why? It's our apartment, isn't it?" "Of course it's my company-owned apartment. It's clear that two strangers divorced from each other shouldn't be able to live together. It's quite obvious. But even if you say that, suddenly,
I have no idea where to go next.
Can you ask your father to let Lily and me continue living here? What are you talking about? I was suddenly kicked out by you 2 months ago with no place to go, who is completely unconcerned about that. I'm sorry. So can you help us out? No matter what you say, it's impossible. Is that all you wanted to say?" I'm hanging up. Such a cheap apology surely won't make me forgive what happened that day. Even after our divorce, it seems this man still underestimates me to no end. As I was about to hang up, my ex-husband said, Wait. Don't hang up. What now? Is there something else? There's something I don't get." Recently, they decided to build a new high-rise near our house. The location is great, and from what I saw in the brochure, the amenities and space are impressive. When I looked into it, I found out it's owned by your company. What's the deal with that? I thought your company was in financial trouble. How could they afford to build such an amazing building? Oh, that matter. My company started a new business 2 years ago, and it's been doing really well. There's no financial crisis. In fact, it has grown into a company with annual revenues of $30 million. So buying that building was easy. What? That can't be right. I thought your company in the U.S. was gone, and wasn't your salary reduced? The company in the U.S. hasn't disappeared, it's just smaller now. It still exists. We're expanding our business internationally because the potential revenue outside of the U.S. is much greater. The reduction in my salary was only temporary during this transition period. Our company has an incentive system. My father made sure to adjust so that other employees wouldn't face a salary cut. But since I'm family, I told them it was okay to reduce my salary temporarily. My base salary was sufficient to begin with, and besides, I already had a significant new role lined up for me. Why didn't you explain such important things to me? I tried to explain, but you never gave me the chance. Besides, it's common knowledge that my father's company is rapidly growing. You would have easily found out if you had done a bit of research. You just assumed the worst, didn't you? Well, that's true, but I mentioned I had a big job lined up, and that's because I'm going to be the president of my father's company. President? You? My ex-husband was so shocked that he suddenly raised his voice. His voice was so loud that I had to pull the phone away from my ear and furrowed my brow in annoyance, thinking to myself, so noisy. Yes, I just need to live in the UK for a while to be the president. It's more convenient to work there. I delayed making a decision because you and Lily were still around. I thought I would discuss it with both of you once Lily's celebration party was over and things had settled down. My ex-husband seemed at a loss for words, and no response came from him. He fell silent, probably stunned. Hello? Are you listening? By the way, after you guys abandoned me, I gladly accepted the offer to become the president. I've already set the date for moving to the UK, and soon I'll be the president of a company with annual revenues of $30 million. That's ridiculous. Unbelievable. Even during the property division, it was only $100,000. It's a large amount, but nowhere near $30 million. Such wealthy people are not common. Indeed, that would be the norm. Companies with annual revenues exceeding $30 million are rare. However, the situation changes on a global scale. It is said that the salary gap between presidents of companies that operate internationally and those that don't can be tens of times different. Our company has not been limited to the US for a long time. It has been able to grow so much because we have expanded our business internationally. All my savings were managed under my father's name because you and Lily were so reckless with money. So I decided to entrust most of my salary to my dad, who I knew could successfully manage and invest it. But I saw a payslip with a salary of $6 per hour. What was that about? Oh, I remember you mentioned that. I thought about it afterward, wondering what you were referring to. I realized it was probably the payslip of a part-time cleaner working for us, and that's from years ago. The company has been concerned that the wages for part-time employees might be too low, so I was conducting a review. I was looking back at all the past wages. The payslip you saw is probably from years ago. Now, the minimum wage everywhere is over $9, so it's clear that $6 an hour just isn't possible anymore if you think about it. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity. If he had looked closely at the payslip, he would have noticed the different name and date. He must have been desperately searching for something to use against me. Maybe that's the payslip he happened to see. But seriously, even a fool would notice that. So, I've been mistaken all this time? I let a woman worth $30 million slip through my fingers? Well, it looks that way. I'm hanging up now. And say hi to Lily for me. With that, I abruptly ended the call from my ex-husband. After that, I received numerous messages and relentless calls from my ex-husband, begging me to reconsider, but I ignored them all. Still, he was so persistent that I blocked him on everything yesterday. 3 months have passed since then. I am living in the UK now. Work has been extremely busy without a break, but I am grateful for the increased workload. With no personal troubles, I can engage in my work stress-free, so no matter how busy, it doesn't feel like a burden. Lily has called me several times since then. I'm really sorry, Mom. When I entered middle school, Dad started bad-mouthing you, saying you were cheating or mocking me. I believed all that and blamed you for everything. I'm sorry for all the awful things I've said over the years. Lily seemed genuinely remorseful, and I considered forgiving her. But her past behavior towards me, influenced by her father's words, was too harsh to simply overlook. I'd like to say it's understandable because it was what your father said, but you also had a part in this. Even though I'm apologizing like this, you won't forgive me? You are my mother. Also, you are wealthy, right? Please. I can't lower my standard of living now that I'm used to having you around. Help me out. I'll go anywhere, even to the UK. Lily's argument was that life was comfortable and somewhat affluent when I was around, without any inconvenience. But since I left, they were evicted from the apartment. And now she and her father are living in a small, cheap rental, struggling with their new life. However, her words, "You are my mother," echoed painfully in my ears, a reminder of the accusations I had faced before. It dawned on me that her apology might be momentary, not truly believing she was in the wrong. I couldn't side with Lily any longer. If her apology had been sincere, I would have forgiven her without hesitation. That's what parents do, they end up wanting to indulge their children. But our situation was different. Lily had ridiculed me for so long, it seemed impossible for her to be genuine and reconnect with me now. She had always been a child with high pride. Therefore, I decided it was time to stop being her mother. You said you're my mother, but you also told me not to act like a mother to you, so I stopped doing that. I stopped acting like your mother. Sorry, but you are now a full-fledged adult. From now on, you need to live your life on your own. Good luck. Wait, what? Are you abandoning your daughter? Without your help, I can't go to college, and my first paycheck will all go to rent. You abandoned me first, remember? Besides, I gave your father $100,000. You shouldn't have to live so tightly, at least for now, right? That money, Dad bought a car and I bought a designer bag, so there's hardly any left. Lily said that, looking a bit awkward. It seemed that both my ex-husband and daughter, having lived comfortably on my salary, couldn't stop their lavish spending suddenly. But that's not my concern anymore. I don't care about that. I've made up my mind. You need to figure it out yourself. Goodbye. With that, I ended the call. However, I didn't intend to block my daughter. She is someone I've spent over a decade with, after all. If she ever genuinely finds herself in trouble and sincerely apologizes, putting aside her pride, then perhaps I'll be there to help. But that seems like a distant possibility. Life in the UK is busy and not easy, but I am happy now. Someday I might plan a recreational trip to the US with my employees who live in the UK. Thinking about such things, I spend another peaceful day alone.